Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have a great article for you guys from Yahoo Finance. I will leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So we got to talk in this video about something that's been on my mind for some time now. I spoke about it last night with the tech extremists, and I think, again, right now I'm speculating because none of what I'm about to say is public or official yet. But I think something is about to transpire with T-Mobile that many of you possibly knew could come or is on its way, but you don't want to face that reality just yet. So the title states the returns at T-Mobile aren't growing, right? So as T-Mobile gained all of the Sprint customers through the merger, and now they're continuing to grow at just about at the same clip, if not better, than they did during the Un-carrier days. Right, this year they're forecasting the peak postpaid growth to be at 5.9 million. We could possibly see another 4 to 5 million next year, but yet they aren't growing the financials as rapidly as one would say, or they're not close to the financials of AT&T and Verizon at the current size of company that they are. So a lot of people are going to questioning, well, how does T-Mobile get there? They continue growing quarter after quarter at the clip that they are, but yet they still lack the revenue. They still lack the net income, right? The free cash flow, they're generating the service revenue, so they're generating free cash flow, but everything else is kind of behind, and that's why I think the stock is affected, right? They didn't do as much stock buyback as many analysts anticipated. They were anticipating more than the 3.5 billion, but the response I have to that, the first package that they got approved from the board was 14 billion, so they're finishing that first. The next round of approval will have to come from the board, but I fully anticipate that to happen at another time. So here's what I anticipate to happen over the next 24 to 36 months. I fully anticipate T-Mobile to raise pricing on legacy plans and to release new plans within that time frame that are priced higher, maybe even more expensive than Verizon and AT&T. I fully anticipate that to happen because I've been reading a lot of the comments of that you guys have been putting. You got to remember T-Mobile's subscriber count in terms of geography is different than the other carriers. Most of T-Mobile's growth has come in the top 100 markets throughout the Un-carrier days and even now. And then all of the customers that they added on top of that from Sprint were all in the top 100 markets. Remember, neither of them had a huge rural presence. And neither of them really had a big presence in the suburban areas as well. So they're loading up a ton of traffic in the top 100 markets. And that's where I'm coming from with the capacity story. The spectrum is good and all, but they continue loading up. LA and Los Angeles, T-Mobile has like 60% market share. They continue growing that. In El Paso, they're at like 52% of the entire market on their network. New York City, the boroughs, huge market share there. Chicago, they're growing in Vegas. I mean, I see the market share numbers. They're taking on a immense amount of traffic on the urban core. And that doesn't even include the fixed wireless access story that they continue growing. Again, when I make these videos, I'm not talking about right now, tomorrow. I'm talking about you got to have a vision for the future. They did it in LTE. They loaded up the network to where it was congested to the point where it was unusable. And that wasn't just one tower, one sector in a given area. No, I was tracking this in several other markets. There were several towers and multiple sectors during peak hours that were completely shot, where it was buffering, text messages weren't sending, calls were dropping. And that's what T-Mobile is looking to get to again. They want to load up the network to that type of constraint to where it's congested, to where they can say, okay, we are monetizing and these are the results. The market doesn't like the results. They think that the cash flow should be higher based on the growth, the net income, the revenues, everything should be much higher than what it actually is in reality, right? T-Mobile now has about, I think, a total of 116 million customers as of Q2. Then by the end of the year, they might get closer to like 118, 119, somewhere around there. And then next year they'll probably surpass 120 million. That's mostly, remember, the share is there. That's mostly in the top 100 markets, right? Verizon and AT&T, they're geographically more spread out. They have good amount of rural share. They have a nice amount of suburban share, and then T-Mobile has most of the share in the top 100 markets. Verizon and AT&T have share there too, but not as much. So it's more spread out for them. So when Verizon gets C-band going, like in these bigger markets, and they really want to compete, they can do so. Maybe next year release more new plans, lower pricing, compete better. They can load up the network because they don't have the share. Right? For an example, T-Mobile in El Paso has over 50% market share and starting to grow the home broadband share into the low single digits. So they're growing that too. Verizon is at like 30, 31, 32% market share. So they have another 20% market share to grow, to load up, just to get to where T-Mobile is. And they're stacking on, similar, if not more, spectrum than T-Mobile is in this market because it's so fragmented. So you got to look at it from that perspective, right? I'm speculating, of course. None of this is official, but you got to look at it like that. T-Mobile is growing to the size of company where the growth eventually won't matter anymore because they're going to have to focus on the finances. It's going to be time to make that dough at that time, right? If they continue loading up, becoming the market leader, which is what they're gearing up towards by 2027, 2028, eventually, where are they going to go? Where's the growth going to come from when they've taken it all? Eventually, within the next 24 to 36 months, like I said, they're going to start slamming consumers with price increases. They might end up becoming the most expensive carrier at that time. It's a possibility, not for sure, again, speculating. But I think that's what's going to come because they have to match the finances with what's coming. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all in the next one. Peace.